Hi, my name is Nkem Nwankwo, and I live in the Chicago area right now. I'm a product manager for a software company in the Chicago suburbs. And I'm from Nigeria. I was born in Calabar, and I moved when I was about 1.5 to Boston. After that, I moved to Miami when I was 9, finished high school over there, and then went on with my college career. When I was about 1.5, my dad was actually a professor at the university over in Calabar, and my mom was a student there, right? They got married, had me, but when I was 1.5, he actually got recruited by a molecular biology, a biotech company in the Boston area to actually move to Nigeria. So my dad, for the year, my first year of life, he was actually in Boston, and he came back to Nigeria to come get us and bring us back over to Peabody, right? So it was me, my mom, and my dad at the time. Like I said, I have a younger brother and younger sister. They were both born in the Boston area as well. So that's really how we got over to America, and this was my introduction to American culture, American life. I was really interested in electronics. I would go to my dad's work, which was the biotech company, and play on his, I think he either had a Mac or an Apple II. Play on the Mac, the Apple II, always be playing Snake or whatever old computer game that they had on there. And like I said, I really, really wondered how you went from a circuit board, because I've seen circuit boards, I've seen technology, I've seen the inner workings of a computer, but how you go from that to what I actually saw on the screen, that was really, really just a mystery to me. And it was always a mystery to me, and it just kind of, I really felt like that's where my interest and my curiosity in all of these things came from. So growing up, if you know Nigerian families, you're about the books, you're about studying, you're really strict. I would be working on these workbooks during the summer, like 2 or 3 grade levels above me. Every single summer, my dad would make me do that, and he was always at work. My mom was in law school. We had a babysitter. So to be honest, I didn't see my parents that much during that period, and it was just me pounding out work and with my brother and sister, right? One day I woke up and all my mom's stuff was gone from her closet, right? I asked my dad where my mom went. He said she left, and a week later I moved to Miami. I'm a little kid. I don't know what's going on, I don't know where my mom is, everything like that. For me at that time, it was really a time of confusion. And honestly, I didn't see my mom for maybe like a year and a half after that. And my parents were getting separated at that time. So when I was 9 on, I was in a single parent household. When I got to Atlanta, I really found a place that there was other black people who are focused. I never saw this before. In Miami, it's all Hispanic people. It's a lot of island people as well, but I just didn't see the career focus down there. There wasn't a lot of professionals to me. I moved to Atlanta, I see, wow, there's a lot of black professionals over here. Especially when I went to Georgia Tech, I found other people like me who were really focused on what they actually wanted to do in life. And I really found that I fit in there, And there was just super cool people who, they liked similar things to me. We played basketball. We loved rap and hip hop. We loved freestyling, late nights, just talking about anything. And we all had similar interests, so I found a really good community there, right? Now, that was the social part of Georgia Tech. The actual academic part, if you're familiar with the school, it's tough. It was really tough for me. After maybe the first month and a half, there was one moment that I broke down crying in my room because I didn't like my grades. I didn't feel like this was something that I could do. I didn't think that I could succeed at Georgia Tech because I got there and this is a whole different pool. In Miami, everything was easy. High school, everything was easy. I come to Atlanta, I come to Georgia Tech, I come to a place with kids that are geniuses from around the world, and I don't think that I'm smart enough. I remember my very first test was a Calculus 1 test. Cal 1, I got a 32. This is a dude who had a 4.67 GPA in high school. First test of college, 32. That just didn't even compute to me, right? I just looked at it, I stared at it, I was like, what's going on here? Come to find out, the average on that test was a 40. So I really wasn't that far off. But still, you know, for me not to be up to par in my head with everybody else, that was a big blow. And the thing is, the rest of my black friends, it was all the same story too. It's a huge culture shock going from somewhere that you're familiar to somewhere that is 6% black. I think Georgia Tech was at that time. And if you go into my specific major is 5% female, 95% male. And there was only me and one other black dude throughout my classes there. I came into computer engineering at Georgia Tech with maybe 5 or 6 friends that we were all computer engineering majors, right? I'm the only one who still graduated as a computer engineering major because there were certain classes around your 3rd year that got intensely tough. The people that I was in classes with, right? These dudes have been coding since they were like 11 years old. Their parents were engineers, their parents were developers. They knew that this is what they wanted to get to. They knew the path to get there. Me, this is my first time seeing a lot of this stuff, and I was overwhelmed, right? There was a point after that first year where I was like, I don't really know if I can do this. It continued into my second year. Second year was really tough, to be honest. My grades weren't that good. I started to lose passion for it. I'm going through these hard classes and just trying to produce the best work that I can. And it really wasn't working out for me in the way that I wanted to. And I was just coming off an internship at Microsoft. Now, actually, let me back up to talk about my internship, right? So my summer internship, luckily after having that first year that, I didn't think that was that hot, but at the end of it, it was rocky during the middle, but I ended up getting 3.2 my first semester GPA. So that allowed me to apply for an internship at Microsoft, and they actually gave me a little scholarship there too. This is the first time I'm making money, and this is the first time in my head I'm making a lot of money. That first paycheck was more money than I've ever seen in my life in my bank account, right? This is a dude lived in Miami, moved to Atlanta, and it's my first time on the West Coast. They flew me first class over there, right? So I'm being exposed to different things. A story when I was actually flying first class, which is pretty interesting, is, this is me. I'm wearing my normal, college, just Georgia Tech stuff. I got a polo on, jeans, and I'm flying over to Seattle because the company paid for the flight. I get into the line for actually checking my bags in on the first class because, you're a first class passenger, you can pass by the coach. And the lady stops me and says, "Excuse me, sir, the line for coach is over there." I was shocked. My dad almost exploded and everything. And that was the kind of motivation that made me say, wow, people really, when they see me, they see somebody who is not as smart as them and is not gonna be something, right? So I showed her my first class ticket. She was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead and proceed." But I remember all of these things. These kind of things were motivation. After graduating college, I went on to work for John Deere as a software engineer, and I worked as a software test engineer. I developed some testing suites, worked on their initiation into automated software within my department there. One thing that I learned while I was there, I'm learning the corporate hustle, the networking portion of things. Really, how do you move up in certain positions? I'm just talking to people, how do I fit in this culture? This is moving into Iowa too. This is a completely different place that I'm used to. I've lived in big cities since before this, and now I'm moving out into the middle of nowhere in a culture that I'm really not familiar with, working on farm equipment. I've been on a farm visiting, like seeing animals and stuff, but I've never farmed in my life, so this is something new to me, right? So with that, I had a certain struggle in how do I get to a higher position, and that's when I started thinking about business school. I started thinking about getting my MBA, so I started asking some of my friends, have you thought about this? Have you gotten sponsored by the company? Weighing my options. I had a friend that was in management leadership for Tomorrow, MLT, that was actually in my building. She had just graduated with her MBA and came and worked for John Deere. She said that it's a worthwhile program to get into. You should check it out. Me, I wasn't sure about it, so I applied late, right? I applied late, I got waitlisted, they finally let me in. So I was like, all right, cool, let me check this thing out. So while I was looking at MBA programs, I get my score, I'm in an MLT, I'm looking at MBA programs. I started to get interested in entrepreneurship again because I had seen my dad do it. I did an internship for a startup while I was in school as well. And while I was doing that internship, it finally dawned on me, hey, I'm getting maybe $18 an hour to do this right now, but the dude that I'm building this software for, he's only maybe like 5 or 6 years out of his undergrad program. He's getting way more than me. He actually exited successfully and everything like that. He had a large company buy his company. And that just signaled to me that if he can do it, why can't I do it? Especially while I was getting my MBA. So that's when I got interested in the entrepreneurship thing. And when I got into school, Michigan Ross, I had two things that I wanted to do, two clubs that I was very interested in. The tech club, I'm a software guy. I was always going to be interested in that. I said, I'm either going to be the president of the tech club or the entrepreneurship club, one of the two. I was actually the president of the entrepreneurship club my second year of my MBA there. So these were things that I was focused on there. So while I was in school, the move was, hey, let me try to get a startup thing going right now. I worked on a company with two of my friends, and that actually failed while I was in school. On the second year, I was working on another project, and I just didn't feel like it was a correct market fit or we could get it off the ground, so we decided not to run with that. But all of this while, I was always focused on what am I going to do that will get me out of my 9 to 5, right? So coming into school, one thing that I wanted to do was either launch a startup out of school or work for a small company and really learn everything about business there. What it took from the sales, the marketing, the engineering, the customer support, all of those sides, because it takes a lot to run a business. You have to be knowledgeable about that. I knew that a small business would actually give me the responsibility that I needed to learn how to run a business myself. Today, I'm a product manager for a small software company out here named Microsystems. I own my own product. So what owning my own product means is that I run the development team, basically planning out what the future workflows are going to be, what the product roadmap looks like. In addition to that, I work with marketing, sales, customer support, with management, with finance, doing financial projections on how my product is actually going to help the company, right? And my engineering background really helps with working with the engineers and actually developing the features, and the MBA helps me with everything else, right? I work for a small company, so I have a lot of responsibility to actually make my product successful. Right now, I literally do everything that it takes to get things sold, and I think that's just a factor of working at a small company. I call myself a leader in that standpoint, and actually, honestly, the company looks at me as a leader in my product and in just the product portfolio in general, because I have to do all of these things and my reach is very wide. The other side of that, I have a lot of things going on outside of work as well, right? And right now I'm writing a book. I'm going to start an online business off of writing the book and an online blog off of that. And it's really about my MBA experience and other people's MBA experiences as a whole, people who don't really get to tell their story. So that's my first endeavor. In addition to that, I have 2 or 3 projects that I'm going to get started on right after I launch that, and this effort kind of dies down, right? So being in this position as a product manager here taught me what's necessary and what's needed in my after work job, as far as getting things from a sales perspective, from a marketing perspective, from an engineering perspective, and really developing the product. Everything that I do at my job right now is helping me after work, because like I said, at the end of the day, I don't think it's my end goal to work directly for somebody 24/7. I'm going to do my own thing. I think the big things that helped me along the way was my parents' focus on education, my parents' focus on really having to work hard. Moving on from that, it was my passion for technology and engineering as a kid that led me to get this computer engineering degree, and it was my friends and my fraternity brothers that really helped me see what working hard was and helped me develop in that standpoint. So you mix the focus on education with the passion for technology, with the working hard, plus the MBA as far as the networking standpoint goes, and having the full perspective there. I feel like right now the world is ours.